Back on TYT Sports, Jason Rubin and Andre Snelling is about to join you. Now, you know Andre, the professor of basketball, will be joining us, though, for a full show, because those who don't know, and he writes about it occasionally, I know he talks about it all the time, Andre is a big enthusiast when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to MMA, so we're going to talk about some of those topics, too. We're going to start, though, with Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan being fired by the Buffalo Bills. As I typed my rundown to Andre last night, we were talking about the guys who should be fired, and my list was Rex Ryan, and Rex Ryan, and then they ruined it. They already did it this morning. So your breaking news is Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan fired. That's the third coaching vacancy at the moment. We have the Rams, who let go of Jeff Fisher, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now the Buffalo Bills. Andre Snellings, first off, how you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. How is everything?
Yes. Happy Christmas, Merry New Year to everybody.
Happy Festivus.
Yes, Kwanzaa, everything.
All of the good stuff. So first, let's take a look at the coaches' odds. This was as of like December 19th, so Rex Ryan was like 2.5 to 1 to get fired, but we have some others that are really interesting, because if we go to element number 3, I'm not sure if you can see this one, Andre, or not, so I'll make sure to read it off just to be safe. You'll see Marvin Lewis, I guess according to BetOnline, and OddsShark is next on the block, 4 to 1. Todd Bowles, 4.5 to 1. Chip Kelly, 5.5 to 1. Chuck Pagano for the Colts. Doug Peterson of the Eagles. Mike McCoy. And then it would be really tough, I think, to fire John Fox, Sean Rivera, or Gary Kubiak. Especially Rivera or Kubiak, but it wouldn't be the most, it would be up there and shocking. Andre, who should be fired? Who should not have a job next year?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because as you said, Marvin Lewis is the next name on the chopping block. And that's my home team. I'm a Bengals fan. I'm maybe the only Bengals fan in America, but I'm a Bengals fan. And so I would not like to see Marvin Lewis get fired. I'd like to see him keep his job because, when you look at somebody like the Ryans or the other people that have been fired recently, they have a history now of underperforming poor teams for the last several years. The Bengals, I think people forget what the Bengals used to be. The Bengals used to be like, we had to wear a paper bag over our head to say that we were Bengals fans. We used to be what the Browns are now. So Marvin Lewis came in and changed all of that. And there's a culture that the team is supposed to win the division, supposed to make the playoffs. And I know they haven't won yet in the playoffs. And that's, what initially started the hot water for them. But, this year is just flukish injuries, and I'd really like to see him get another chance. So I'll say he's one that should not be on the firing block, even though I think he probably is.
So I agree with you. I was talking with our executive producer, Dan, and we were kind of going back and forth a little bit about, should Marvin Lewis go? Maybe. But the one thing that I've always said, my philosophy towards head coaches, there's very few very good head coaches in the NFL. It's pretty much as few great starting quarterbacks as there are there also great head coaches. So firing Marvin Lewis, who would you bring in that would do a better job? Not Rex Ryan, not Jeff Fisher. Maybe you can get, start talking to, I guess, a Tom Coughlin or a John Gruden, but that's unlikely, trying to wheel him out of retirement. However, I look at people like, Marvin Lewis, at least, like you said, made the playoffs. A.J. Green injury kind of derailed part of their season. That's like one of the best weapons in the NFL altogether. When that goes down, it makes it tough. But I look at guys also, to go back to the Rex Ryan point, I think it's important to note that Rex Ryan's just not that good of a head coach. And I don't think he ever was that good of a head coach. He's 61-66 as a career, so he's a career losing head coach, and 41-54 in his last 5 seasons. That's just not good. It's not 7-9 every year like Jeff Fisher, which is just like, it feels like purgatory. but I look at it and go, and I think it was why Rob Ryan went with him, as I mentioned. So when I look at, in terms of who would you replace your head coach with, I look at the remainder of the list and go, there's just not that many good guys left. Mike McCoy is one that we, at least here at TYT Sports, feel must go. How do you feel about the Chargers? Do you think there's a better, especially with the move to LA, there's a lot that's about to go on. You need somebody who's going to be able to transition as well as get that team back on track.
Exactly. He's an example of someone that may not be kind of big enough for the job, especially you mentioned they're moving potentially to a glamour market. And so you want to have that guy that the team and the market and everyone can rally around and say, okay, yeah, we've got our guy. You mentioned who would the Bengals replace Lewis with? And it's a legitimate problem, not only because of the talent that's out there, but just because the Bengals are a small market team that doesn't have a history of a big fan base. But, the Chargers, if they end up in L.A., then they'll have that pool. Maybe some of those guys that you wouldn't expect to come out of retirement, maybe there's enough sex appeal in the LA market that you can pull somebody like that. But you certainly don't want to go in with someone that appears to be overmatched for the job.
I think Los Angeles, we could have had the Raiders. Why couldn't we have the Raiders? They gave us the Chargers and the Rams.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that nobody wanted the Raiders.
That's true. And the Raiders, and also like the Vegas rumors with the Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and man, it's gonna be tough to explain. Like there's 2016, obviously a tough year to explain to anybody for multiple reasons. But for one, when it comes to the NFL landscape, they're gonna be like, wait, the Rams went back to Los Angeles and the Chargers were jealous, so they joined them? Yeah, sure. And you combined both teams and they still only won 7 games? No, we didn't combine them. We didn't combine them, not yet.
They might as well combine them. Maybe they can win 8 games.
Yes. So I want to throw back really quick to that odds list because I don't think there's anybody else. I think there's a chance Todd Bowles could go. There's a chance that Chip Kelly could go. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think give Chip Kelly one more year. I don't know why. I don't have a legitimate reason as to him. I think he should go back to college after next year when he goes 4-12. But they'll get a draft pick. They'll get some good draft picks, obviously, through the first couple of rounds. I want to see what they do if they can get a formidable quarterback not named Colin Kaepernick in there to really maybe get more of a. I'm not sure. They need some weapons. But Chip Kelly's offense is something that just has not translated just yet to the NFL. So I'm curious if he can maybe make enough adjustments to keep his job in the NFL a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think you have to give him a little bit longer. He just got to San Francisco. And, we talked about the college analog. You can't really judge a college coach until he's had a chance to bring in a recruiting class, So I agree. And similar with Bowles, he's been there 2 years, but still it's like, he had success last year. You can't. I don't think you just flip one bad season into a firing. So I would like to see both of those guys get another shot. With Chip Kelly, he did have some early flashes. In a lot of ways, he's kind of like the Mike D'Antoni of the NFL. And so, I just did an interview on the radio and they were asking about, just how great is that fit with D'Antoni and the Rockets. And so, I think you have to give him a chance to see if he can find his James Harden this year. Speaking of Chip Kelly, his system relies on that quarterback probably more than most. So I would give him one more year. I
agree with you there. I think, on top, to continue the reference, he needs also his Patrick Beverley and his healthy Clint Capella in there as well. I think that's it for the NFL coaches. The coaching carousel in the NFL is like no other when it comes to sports in America because it just keeps on twirl. Every year, movement with coaches. Every year, every team that doesn't make the playoffs feels they need a new head coach. So I think there should be a coaches draft. Every year if you don't make the playoffs, all the coaches go into a pool and the worst team gets the pick from all the coaches that didn't make the playoffs.
Right. Everyone is tanking for Belichick.
Right. Everyone's tanking. Well, that means the Patriots have to not make the playoffs, which in my lifetime, I don't even remember. I think there was 4 years of my life where they weren't in the playoffs. It's actually more about 8-9 years, but that's ridiculous. Come on.
Which is hilarious because you're too young to remember pre-Belichick very much. The Patriots growing up,
I remember Drew Bledsoe. I have a little bit of Drew Bledsoe in me. That's about it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Tony Eason and Grogan, back in the 80s, and the Patriots were not a juggernaut.
And Super Bowl 1 and
yeah, pretty much. Whatever there was a Super Bowl 20 that the Bears beat them by about 100. That's my early Patriots memories. So yeah, Belichick and Brady have done a lot.
For sure. All right, so comment below, everybody. Who should be fired? It's fun part of the job is who should lose their jobs? No one should lose their jobs. We're trying to create more jobs in the country, not kick people out of theirs. But the NFL, there's just not that many openings. Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. Make sure you follow Andre at the Hoops Lab, hoopslab.rotowire.com, at Professor DRZ. He does occasionally type out some good stuff, not basketball related too. So, if you follow along, it says Hoops Lab, but sometimes it's the Football Lab. You never know.